What if I told you that at 85 years old, I thought I was losing my mind? I would walk into a room and have no idea why I was there. I'd just stand there, frozen, scanning the space for some kind of clue. Names of people I loved, my own grandchildren, would slip right out of my head. And reading? I'd start the same paragraph over and over again because I couldn't hold on to a single sentence. It felt like my brain was slowly flickering out, like a light bulb on its last breath. And honestly, I was scared. People around me kept saying, "That's just part of aging, nothing you can do about it." But deep down, I couldn't accept that. I didn't want my last years to be a blur of confusion and fear, slowly forgetting everything and everyone that made up my life. Then, almost by accident, I heard a doctor in an interview talking about a group of natural foods that can improve brain health. No expensive pills. No miracle cures. Just simple foods, things I could buy at the store, that could actually help the brain function better, even at my age. I figured, what do I have to lose? So I tried it. And slowly, something changed. I started remembering where I'd left things. Conversations felt clearer. And the best part? I felt like me again, present, sharp, alive. In this video, I'm going to share with you the 5 everyday foods that changed everything for me. These, along with a few small changes to my routine, completely transformed how my memory works, and how I live. I'm not a doctor. But I am living proof that your brain can bounce back, even when it feels like it's slipping away. And we'll talk about what the science says, so you can decide for yourself. This isn't some empty promise. There are no magic solutions. But there are small, daily choices that can make a real difference. And before we dive in, go ahead and drop a comment below. Tell me how old you are and where you're watching from. I'd love to hear your story. It all started with the little things. At first, I told myself it was nothing. Everybody forgets names now and then, I said. But it wasn't just now and then. It kept happening. More often. I remember one day, I spent almost an hour looking for my keys. I searched the kitchen, coat pockets, the bathroom, I even checked the fridge. And guess where they were? Right there on my nightstand, exactly where I leave them every single night. I laughed out loud, but deep down, a little alarm went off. Then came the repetitions. I'd be telling my granddaughter a story from my youth, and she'd smile and say, "Grandpa, you told me that yesterday." And I'd smile too, but inside, I felt a pang. Because I had no memory of telling her. That scared me. I stopped telling stories. I kept conversations short. I was afraid of going blank mid-sentence. Afraid of forgetting what day it was. Afraid of finding myself standing in a room, having no idea what I came in for. But the worst part wasn't the forgetfulness. It was the feeling that I was slowly becoming a stranger to myself. Our memory isn't just a brain function, it's who we are. Our stories. Our choices. Our loves. Our life. So when it started slipping away, it felt like I was slipping away. I was afraid. Afraid of becoming a burden. Afraid of not recognizing the faces I love. Afraid of forgetting who I am. I even felt ashamed. I didn't want to look confused. So I pretended everything was fine, and that made me feel even more alone. 3-minute mark. Hey, if any of this is sounding familiar, if you've felt that fog, or watched someone you love go through it, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Like this video. Leave a comment and tell me your story. Check out the other videos on my channel. We're building a community here, a space where people over 60 can stay strong, sharp, and independent. And share this with someone you love. You never know, it might just help them too. The turning point, a simple decision. Eventually, I hit a point where pretending wasn't helping. So I made an appointment with my doctor. Now, I'm the kind of guy who likes to think I can handle everything myself. But this was different. The forgetfulness, the fog, it wasn't just occasional anymore. It was part of my daily life. The doctor was kind. He asked some questions, ran some simple memory tests. I did my best, but I went blank on a few. Answered others way too slowly. He said it wasn't Alzheimer's, and it wasn't advanced dementia. His words were, mild cognitive impairment. A gentle phrase, but a heavy one. He said it's common at my age and doesn't always get worse. But there's no cure either. His advice? Stay mentally active. Do crosswords. Read. Try new hobbies. Sleep well. Move every day. Keep stress low. I asked about medication. He said there are drugs, but they come with side effects and the results aren't always clear. I left that appointment with mixed emotions. Relieved that it wasn't something worse. Frustrated because I didn't want to just maintain. I wanted to feel better. Not like I was 30 again. Just like myself again. So I decided to take matters into my own hands. The first food that changed my brain. One afternoon, I stumbled across a video of a retired neurologist. She said something that stopped me in my tracks. What you eat doesn't just fuel your body, it feeds your mind. That hit me. If food affects every other part of the body, why wouldn't it affect the brain? So I started researching. I wasn't looking for miracle pills, I just wanted practical answers. And one food kept coming up again and again. Blueberries. That's right, those little blue fruits I used to ignore at the store. Turns out, they're loaded with antioxidants, especially flavonoids like anthocyanins, the stuff that gives them that deep, rich color. These compounds help fight oxidative stress, which damages brain cells as we age. One study published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry showed that older adults who ate blueberries daily for 12 weeks had noticeable improvements in memory and learning. Another study from the University of Exeter found that blueberry juice increased brain function and blood flow in older adults. This wasn't hype. This was real science. So I gave it a shot. Every morning, I ate a handful of blueberries. Sometimes in yogurt. Sometimes just plain. It became a little morning ritual. At first, I didn't notice much. But by the second week, something changed. I felt more alert in the mornings. Recalling things got easier. That mental fog started to lift. And you know what? My mood improved too. I felt like someone had turned up the lights inside my brain. That was the beginning. The third brain-boosting food, the power of nuts. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that the brain, just like the body, needs the right kind of fuel. And to keep it youthful, active, and full of healthy connections, it needs fats. But not just any fats, the right ones. That's when I added the third key food to my routine, nuts, especially walnuts and almonds. Now here's the amazing part. Walnuts don't just look like little brains, they actually support your brain health. They're loaded with omega-3 fatty acids, antioxidants, vitamin E, magnesium, and polyphenol. All of these work together to protect your neurons, strengthen the connections between brain cells, and keep your mind sharp. Almonds? They're just as incredible. Rich in monounsaturated fats, protein, and essential minerals, they're like a clean-burning energy source for your brain. Especially as we age, that fuel matters more than ever. I'll admit, I was skeptical. How could something so small make such a big difference? But over time, it became clear. I started remembering more details from my childhood, like my 4th grade teacher's full name. One morning I was talking to my grandson, and out of nowhere, I recalled a song we used to sing in class, word for word. That memory had been buried for decades, and suddenly, it just came back. No effort, No strain. I've been eating a small handful of nuts every day since. 5 walnuts. A few almonds. Sometimes I toss them into my morning yogurt, other times I just snack on them mid-morning. No prep. No fuss. And the mental clarity I've gained has been beyond anything I expected. There's one more thing I realized: I stopped being afraid of the word fat. It's not about cutting all fat out, it's about choosing wisely. My cholesterol improved. My energy went up. And that mid-afternoon brain fog I used to feel? Gone. The brain doesn't need crash diets. It needs balance, nutrition, and consistency. The 4th food, a sweet that heals. I used to believe that taking care of your health meant giving up all the things you enjoy, especially sweets. But that's not the full story. One day I came across an article about brain health in older adults. And one thing jumped out at me. Dark chocolate. Now, not just any chocolate, not the kind loaded with sugar and milk. I'm talking about dark chocolate, with at least 70% cacao, a real brain food. Pure cacao is packed with flavonoids, powerful antioxidants that improve blood flow to the brain, reduce inflammation, and protect neurons from oxidative stress. Translation: it helps keep the brain younger, more alert, and more resilient. Cacao also helps release endorphins and serotonin, those feel-good chemicals that lift your mood. And believe me, when you feel better emotionally, your memory and focus often follow. So, I started a new tradition: 1 small square of dark chocolate after lunch. I let it melt slowly in my mouth, like a daily gift to myself. And over time, I noticed something. Less afternoon anxiety. More focus when reading. More energy and joy when writing in my journal. But one moment really stayed with me. I was sitting outside on the terrace with my grandchildren. We had fruit, a few nuts, and a couple squares of dark chocolate. We were just talking. Laughing. And suddenly, I recited, word for word, a story my mother used to tell me when I was a boy. I hadn't thought of it in decades. But there it was, clear as day. That memory wasn't gone. It had just been waiting for the right moment. Now, I still avoid sugary snacks, soda, processed junk. But a little dark chocolate or a teaspoon of natural honey in tea? That's part of my life now. Not just for the taste, but for the clarity, the presence, and the connection it brings. The 5th and most powerful food, water. After years of hearing about exotic berries, expensive supplements, and trendy diets, I discovered that one of the most powerful brain boosters of all is something we take for granted. Water. Yes, plain, simple water. It might sound underwhelming, but when I started drinking water consistently and consciously, my brain took a leap I never expected. Water helps your brain in more ways than most people realize. It carries nutrients, flushes out toxins, keeps neurons active, regulates temperature, and improves blood flow to the brain. I used to drink water only when I felt thirsty. A glass here, a sip there. Hours would pass without a drop. By the afternoon, I was foggy, tired, irritable. I thought it was just age. It wasn't. It was dehydration. So I made a change. A full glass of water first thing in the morning. Another before breakfast. Then, small sips throughout the day, even if I didn't feel thirsty. Within days, my thinking became clearer. Words came easier. I could read without rereading. And my mood improved too, less tension, more ease, more desire to connect. Water also helped everything else work better. Those nutrients from blueberries, avocado, nuts, chocolate. They can't help you if your body isn't hydrated. Water is the foundation. I also enjoy green tea or rosemary infusions for extra antioxidants, but nothing replaces good, clean, fresh water. It might not be flashy. It doesn't come in a fancy bottle. But without it, your brain simply can't function at its best. Beyond memory, changes I never expected. When I began this journey, I just wanted my memory back. I wanted to remember names, find my keys, follow a conversation without feeling lost. But what I got was so much more. I started waking up feeling hopeful, more curious, more energized. The mental fatigue faded. I could read for longer stretches. I started journaling again. And the words just flowed. Even my sleep improved. Before, I'd wake up multiple times a night. Now, I sleep deeper, longer, and I wake up refreshed. Stress? Anxiety? They still come around now and then, but they don't own me anymore. I feel more balanced. More myself. And here's the best part. I reconnected with the people around me. I joined conversations again. Paid attention to the news. Learned new things. I even signed up for a short online history course, and enjoyed it like a kid. All because I started treating my brain like it mattered. What I learned. At 85, I truly believed my time of mental clarity had passed. I thought it was normal to forget names, go blank mid-sentence, lose track of why I walked into a room. But I was wrong. The brain can come back online. It doesn't happen overnight. It's not magic. But it's real. I started remembering more, conversations, songs, even full crossword puzzles. And one day, I remembered a friend's phone number I hadn't dialed in years. But what I truly got back was my confidence. The joy of talking to my grandkids. The excitement of reading, writing, learning, and living. And it all started with one simple change: what I put on my plate. This isn't about miracle cures. It's about real food, consistency, hydration, curiosity, and the will to keep going. Because the most important lesson I learned? Don't give up. If you're 60, 70, 90, it's not too late to clear the fog, feel sharper, and start living again. You don't need 100 changes. Just start with one. Drink more water. Add one brain-friendly food. And keep going. Have you noticed changes in your memory lately? Struggling to find words? Forgetting small things? You're not alone, and you're not out of options. Tell me in the comments. What foods have helped your mind? Have you changed your diet lately? And where are you watching from? How old are you? Your story could inspire someone else, just like others inspired me. If this video helped you, share it. Send it to a friend, a loved one, a senior who needs a little hope. Because sometimes, that's all someone needs. See you in the next video, and thank you so much for being here.